repeat the Chinese government. Even the head of the Joint Chiefs sent a letter. You can't run a military and just put everything on pause for 6 months when you have to sign contracts, build weapon systems, et cetera, that take so much effort. It's not serious for Republicans to say they want to pass a CR that fails properly to fund E-Verify, H-2B visas, border security. These guys talk about border security, but they don't fund it. The House Republican proposal disbands a critical law enforcement effort to stop drug smuggling, cartels, and money laundering. It's not serious when Republicans say they want to pass a CR that forgets vital health programs that rely on federal funding. The CR has no plans to address the looming cliff for health programs. People with diabetes would struggle to get what they need. Community health centers would be endangered of closing because they don't have funding. And all that wasn't enough, the Republicans have no plan for extending Farm Bill funding. We're going to approach a dairy cliff in December. A dairy cliff could cause such loss to our farmers. Farmers in New York told me if the dairy cliff occurs, they'd go out of business. And it's estimated it could as much as double the price of milk, talking about inflation and costs. So this bill is not a serious bill. There are some terrible consequences for proceeding with Speaker Johnson's reckless 6-month proposal, which is why the White House already issued a veto threat. So it's going nowhere. The answer is simple. The House should stop wasting time on a partisan CR that's going nowhere and work in a bipartisan way to get this done. We're ready to sit down with them and discuss a bipartisan bill. But Speaker Johnson has not reached out to Leader Jeffries, Leader Schumer, myself, or the White House. You can't just let Chip Roy sit down and the hard right write a bill and think it's going to pass and not even think it's going to get Republican and realize it's even going to get Republican opposition. Because right now the only thing bipartisan about this proposal is a disdain around it from people in both parties. Now it's time for Republicans to work with us on a bipartisan package with input from both sides that avoids harmful cuts, free of poison pills. We've done it before. We can do it again. I'm ready when they are. Senator Murray.
Well, thank you. There is an awful lot happening in the world to let House Republicans leave our government on autopilot for 6 months. There are real consequences to a reckless 6-month CR. New programs that will not get started, finished programs that will not wind down, opportunities missed. Agencies like Social Security Administration will be spread thinner and thinner, and despite doing important work for the American people. Work like keeping our skies and our food supply safe. Work to stop deadly illegal drugs, prepare for extreme weather events, or respond to public health threats. Even work to counter aggression from our adversaries. Why would House Republicans keep our military from moving forward? When it comes to keeping our military strong and ready and properly funded, we cannot afford to be our own worst enemy. And if House Republicans kick the can down the road for an entire 6 months, that's not just a de facto cut across the entire government. It means we'll be staring down even more damaging sequester cuts on the near horizon. Some MAGA Republicans actively want damaging cuts. Some want a disastrous shutdown. They want more chaos for Trump. So they've been demanding exactly the kind of partisan CR that Speaker Johnson is putting forward, one that they know will not pass. We should not allow our government to teeter on the verge of a MAGA Republican shutdown because Donald Trump wants to pick another fight. How many times have we had to learn that lesson? How many more times will we have to go through a Trump-driven chaos cycle before Republicans just let us move forward? Everyone knows, including the SAFE Act on the House Republican CR, is a partisan scare tactic and a poison pill. If House Republicans want to show how serious they are about avoiding a damaging shutdown, avoiding a spending freeze that leaves our nation unresponsive and unprepared for the future, and avoiding devastating sequester cuts that would set us back decades, I have a solution for them. It's not rocket science. In fact, 2 years running now, Senator Collins and I have written some incredibly bipartisan funding bills here on the Senate side. And here's how we did it. We don't attach our wish list to a must-pass government spending bill. We sit down and figure out what both of us can agree to, and we focus on what will make life better for the American people. So I'm here today to urge the House Republicans to get to the table, get serious, and put the American people first.
Thank you, Patty. Ready for some questions? Yes.
Thank you. Do you believe that the CR negotiations need to be the four corners of leadership, or do you think this is something that you and Leader McConnell could just negotiate over here?
Look, it's always best if the four corners of leadership are included, and obviously in the Senate you need Republican votes, so four corners is best. Yes.
What does Kamala Harris need to do in the debate tonight to move this race?
Look, she's going to. I think she's going to do great at the debate. She is going to not only talk about what has already been accomplished, but the things she wants to accomplish for the American people, for working families, and I think she's going to do real well.
Why do you and why do Democrats oppose the SAVE Act, one? And second, Donald Trump just said if the Republicans don't get election security assurances that they're demanding, they should shut down the government.
Well, you know, Donald Trump ran into trouble years ago when he said he'd own shutting down the government. The bottom line is we want a bipartisan negotiation. We will sit down and do a bipartisan negotiation. That's the only way to pass it.
And the SAVE Act?
As I said, we want a bipartisan negotiation, period. I'm not going to get into the details.
We don't want chaos. There is no reason for that. The American people want us to do our jobs. That's what we're doing in the Senate. That's what the House should do.
Yeah, sit down with us. Talk about the bill, and we can come up with a bipartisan agreement. Simple. Yes.
Mr. Schumer, Donald Trump seems to be, again, hyping the risk of election fraud. Are you worried about the potential of more violence, another January 6th-like scenario this
Look,
year?
I hope not, and I hope any responsible leader, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, would discourage any type of violence. Obviously, you want to be vigilant and make sure everything is on the up and up when people vote, but you also want to make sure that people aren't blocked from voting when they have a legitimate right to vote. Okay? Thanks, everybody.